Okay, so in the last class, we have discussed mailbox. It's a message passing. How data or a message can be shared between the different process. Also, I have uploaded the code which I have executed, and you can have a look on the same. So today we shall discuss another very important topic, which is deadlock. So normally whenever the resources are shared between the different process, there is a situation which can occur due to which nobody is able to avail the resource. So that is deadlock. So we can see a picture here of traffic junction. If you notice, let us see the basic principle of deadlock. So here the situation which we have given with the quadrants, a car traveling north, okay, now north needs A and B. Okay, suppose that car is traveling to north, this needs this path, okay, and the car which needs to travel west, okay, so that require B and C. Similarly, for east, this, and for south, this. Okay. So, in case all the vehicles join at that particular junction, in the junction, which is about to go to west, then the south and the north and the east, then there is no space so that nobody is able to move. So this situation we call it as a deadlock. Nobody's, even though there is a road and but nobody is able to avail it. Okay. So the normal rule is a car at four-way stop should yield to a car immediately to its right. Okay. So this can work possibly if there are only 2 or 3 cars arrive at the junction. For example, suppose we have only 2 cars. Suppose we have only 2 cars, let us say, assuming I have only say number 2 and number 1. Okay. Then if I have to move to the north, this need to stop and should give a path for the vehicle which is going to the north, and then further this can move. So after leaving the way for one, we can make the move for the 2. Okay. So considering there is a one more, so you make the travel of 1, then we can have for both the 2 and 4, let us say, because this is free. So there are different combination we can consider, so that there won't be any deadlocks. So or else I can say that suppose 1 and 3. So you make the 1 to stop and 3 to move, then you make the 1 to move. Okay. So these are the different the combinations through which we can say that how we can avail the resources. Resource is the junction or the road. Okay. So there are, when we talk about the process, so the different resources need to be used by the different process. How we can make use of those? Let us consider in the computer system. In the operating system. Suppose I have a two process P and process Q. So we have a two process. After executing some instructions, I need certain, let us consider that there are two resources, A and B. A and B. You acquire A, then acquire B, then you release A, then release B. So let us say this is the set of instructions for process P. Similarly, for process Q, say you acquire B, then try to acquire A, then you have a release, you release B, then release A. Okay. So this is the explanation whatever given with respect to the diagram which is shown in the next. So better to see that, then I'll come back to the slide. Let us consider a situation for process P. Please note this. Acquire resource A, B, release B for process P, and for Q, B, A, release B, release A. Okay. So let us see that. So I have a process P, and process Q. Okay, this is the progress of Q and progress of P. Okay, so for Q, this is the progress, and for P, this is the. As I mentioned in the previous slide, for process P, you get A, get B, release A, and then release B. For process Q, get B, get A, release B, and then release A. Fine. Now, let us try to understand the different situations, how it can, what are the different combinations through which there is a possibility of getting deadlocks, and we may not have a deadlock. Let me begin with the situation 1, whatever shown in the diagram. Consider that you begin and yeah. So begin with process P, but here I'm moving towards Q. So Q will acquire the B. Then it will acquire the A. Then release B. Then release A. Here so far, P has not come into picture. So no deadlocks. It's a normal situation. Okay. So this is one of the situation. Maybe the process P is not using any resources. So smooth. The second one could be here. In the second, say we begin with, and the process Q will acquire B, then it will acquire A. Process Q will acquire A, B, then acquire B. None are released, but at this particular instant, maybe you try to acquire the process P, try to acquire the A. But A is not yet released by B. So this is so process P is trying to acquire A, but it is not released. Immediately, this goes to blocking. And here, say process Q will release B. Then here, the process Q releases A. Once it releases A, then the P can acquire it. A. So that is the second situation. Similarly, you can suppose P, so Q acquires B, and the process P is trying to acquire A. Okay, so B is with Q and A is with P. Okay, so that is another situation. Okay, similarly, you can see the different parts. Finally, I just so this are the one the shaded diagram, the one which shows that here P also want A, P also wants A. You can see that Q also wants A. So here Q also wants A, P also wants A. So let me rub this. So these are the situation wherein, so you can see that, so when I move in this direction, P is trying to acquire A, and meanwhile you can see that, so Q also wants A. Okay, P also wants A, Q also wants A. So there is nobody is able to get it. And here again, say you can see that the process P wants A, and the process Q also wants A, and say here. So till here I can say that both wants A and B, so there will be a deadlock situations. Here again, because either or the P and Q both are interested in the particular resource. Suppose A is holding P is holding A and Q is holding B, then both wants the same resources. Neither is able to not yet released by the different process. Then there would be a possibility of deadlock. Okay. So this is the one where you can see that P also wants B, and Q also wants B. Q also wants B. So we can at this particular instant, okay, both want B. So both want B. There will be nobody is able to get. Okay, and yeah, these are the situation through which you can see that there is a deadlock. So if I go to 5, you begin with, and P acquire A, and say P acquire B, and Q try to acquire B, but B is with P, so there will be a deadlock. I mean, not the deadlock. Uh, uh, it it goes to blocking. It goes to blocking. So that is, I cannot say it is deadlock. It is because the resource B is with P, so but Q is trying to get it, but it cannot. So there will be the blocking for the Q. Okay. So till the particular resource is released by the Q. So at this situation, P releases A, and here P releases Q. So once it releases, since that resource is wanted by Q, you can make use of it. Okay. So finally, the last situation which we have given for 6, it is simple, straightforward. You can see here, only for the process P, it acquires A, acquires B, and releases A and releases B. So far, Q is not interested in any of the resources. So it's a smooth way of execution. So the highlighted one, you can see here, this shows both P and Q want resource A. Both P and Q want resource A. So here you can see that. So B also, Q also wants A, P also wants A. Okay, after this, so this situation. Okay, so it has not released till here. So the P can release only at this particular instant. Okay, so if A is acquired by P and Q wants A, but this will release only at this particular instant by P. Okay, so that is the situation wherein both P and Q want resource A, and this is shown as both P and Q want resource B. So resource B. Say here you need a B by P, and say Q also want B. Okay. There will be a resource conflict, and suppose anyone till it releases, both are in need of the particular resource. That is the okay. Then this is deadlock inevitable situation. Deadlock inevitable situation. So we could see that this is for want A and this is for wanting B, and so in these situations you cannot avoid any deadlocks. So because here you can see that P wants A, P wants A, P wants A, and B is with the Q and A is with the P, and if they want any of the resources, so they cannot. Okay, so means one of the resources with the one process, another resource with another process, and both have not yet released, and that is a situation you call it as you cannot avoid the deadlock. Okay, so this is the sample diagram. It's an example given. I hope you understood. This is the sequence given for process P and the sequence given for process Q. So the first line which I have shown, Q acquires B and then A, then releases B and A, then P resumes execution, it will be able to acquire both resources. This is situation 1. And now Q acquires B and then A, Q acquires B and then A, B and then A, this wrong, then A, and then P executes and blocks on a request for A, Q releases B and A. When P resumes execution, it will be able to acquire both resources. I think it is simple. Third situation, Q acquires B and then P acquires A. Third situation, Q acquires B and then later A acquired by P. A acquired by P. Deadlock is inevitable because as execution proceeds, Q will block on A and P will block on B. It's later because one may be interested in other resource and other resource process may be interested in the resource which is held by the another process. So that is, you cannot avoid the deadlock. Fourth one, P acquires A and then Q acquires B. Here again deadlock is just the opposite of situation 3. Situation 3, you can see that here A is acquired by P and B is acquired by Q. Here again the situation is inevitable. And fifth one, P acquires A and then B. P acquires A and then B, and then now Q is trying to acquire B, Q is trying to acquire B and blocks on request for B because it is with the P. P releases A and B. When Q resumes execution, it will be able to acquire both resources. Okay. And finally, P acquires A. Finally, P acquires A, as I've just mentioned, and then B, and releases A and releases B. That's the final situation. The final situation. So when Q resumes execution, it will be able to acquire both resources because so it has finished. The P has finished making use of all. Okay, these are the different combinations. So we can see. Any clarifications?
No, ma'am, it's clear.
So now we can see so another scheme. Maybe yeah. So this is the sequence of instructions given. P will acquire A, releases A, then it will try to acquire B and release B. This is a situation we can have for process P, and process Q try to acquire B and A and releases B and releases A. Maybe this is not the say here get A, get B, release A, release B, get B, get A, release B, release A. But here it is maybe you first get it, release it, get the second resource, release it. Okay. So this is the situation how we can draw the diagram. Okay. That is the progress of instruction sequence for process P and Q. So now, yeah, anyway, the same sequence is shown here. So P will acquire A, then release A, acquire B, release B. Here, acquire B, A, release B, and release A. Fine. Let us try to understand in a similar manner. Suppose I begin with 1, the path which is shown. So it is only for Q. It will acquire B, then acquire A, release B, and release A. Smooth. So far P has not come into picture. So once it resumes executions and the both resources can be used by the process P. Okay. And the second one, here you can see that the process Q will acquire B, and then it is acquire A. Please try to understand. Now process P is trying to acquire A. Since A is not yet released by Q, till it releases, the process P is blocked. Okay, once it releases that, it can resume execution. Similarly, the next situation you can see here. So Q will hold B, and now P is trying to acquire A. Since A is available, it can acquire it, and then it releases A after some time as the sequence, Then the queue is trying to acquire A because it is already released, it can acquire it. Now queue will release B and then releases A. Okay, so smooth. So this is perfect in the sense there is no conflict and the path is free in this situation. Similarly, next sequence you can see here. The process P acquire A and then process Q will acquire B, right? At this instant, maybe process P will release A, now A is free, and then Q can acquire A definitely because A is released, and then since B is with Q, it releases B, and then now since B is released by Q, P can acquire B, so no issues, then it releases B. So this is also without any blocking, Similarly, the fifth one, you can see process P will acquire A, then releases A, then acquire B. Okay, then now Q started executing and it will try to acquire B, but P is not yet released by P. There will be a blocking. After P releases B, the process Q can execute. Okay. Similarly, the sixth. So here we could see that we could try to avoid the deadlock because of the sequence of execution which we have shown. Okay. So this shows both P and Q want resource A, both P and Q wants resource B. Okay. So which I already explained. That's a possible progress path for P and Q. So horizontal one is executing and Q is waiting, and vertical portion of path indicates Q is executing and P is waiting. Okay, fine. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So now there are certain types of resources which we use it in the system. There are two categories. You can call it as a reusable resources and consumable resources. Call it as a reusable and consumable resources. The reusable resources, as the name says, so is the one that can be safely used by only one process at a time and is not depleted by that use. Okay, please try to understand. So examples are I/O channels, main and secondary memory, devices and data structures such as files, databases, and semaphores. So these are examples of reusable resources. Then we have consumable resources. Consumable resources means you cannot retain it. It's one that can be created and destroyed. It can be created and destroyed. Okay, it is consumed. Examples are interrupts, signals, messages, and information in I/O buffers. Okay, so these are called as consumable resources. So now let us take an example of two processes competing for reusable resources. Say disk file and tape drive. Suppose process, say, let us take a sequence of execution for process P and process Q. So always we give an example of two processes, any kind of a situation. So now the smaller P, the one which shown here, shows the steps. Okay, you request disk, then you lock it, request tape, lock it, perform function, unlock D, unlock T. That is P0 to P6, the steps, the sequence. Similarly, for Q, the process Q request T, then lock T, request D, lock D, perform function, unlock T and unlock D. Suppose you have a set of sequence. The deadlock occurs if multi-programming system interleaves, that is a switching between the different process. Okay, so interleaves the execution of two processes as. So that is, now you request D, okay, then lock it. Process P will request and locks it. Now process Q request T and locks T. Okay, say this is 1, 2, 3, 4. If I try to execute this, there is interleaving, let us say, request for T, but T is with Q, okay, then this one try to request D, but D is with P. So this set of sequence will cause deadlock. Okay, I hope you got it. So there are different conditions for deadlock. In mutual execution, which you already seen, only one process may use resource at a time. Only one process can use the resource at a time. If it holds, means it locks. Till it unlocks, the other process cannot make use of it. Hold and wait. A process may hold allocated resources while waiting assignment of others. Okay. And the third one, no preemption. No resources can be forcibly removed from a process holding it. Okay, you cannot forcibly remove any resource from the process. Okay, so preemption in the sense, you just try to block it and give it priority to the other one. Okay, then another situation, a closed chain of process exists such that each process holds at least one resource needed by the next process in the chain. I think the situation just I have shown is an example of circular wait. Okay. Say suppose a resource A is with P and B is with Q, and next A wants B, but B is with the Q, but Q wants A is with P. Such situation. It's a circular chain. I want something which is with somebody, and somebody wants an item which is with me. Okay, so both are holding it, and till they release it, you cannot come out of the normal, and I mean you cannot go with the normal situation, normal execution. So that is a situation which can cause that these are the different conditions for deadlock. Okay. So this is an example shown as I just mentioned. Suppose P1 request resource RA, but it is with the process P2, and P2 is requesting for resource B, but this resource is with the P1. Okay, so RB is with P1, RA with P2, but this wants this wants RB. So this is called as a circular wait. Okay. So we have seen the different the executions. So deadlock. So as we have seen here the same situation. P1 is the when we begin with this diagram. So P1 is with resource A is with the P1, resource B with the P2, resource C is with P3, and resource D with P4. Okay, so let us take an example which we have shown in the beginning. So A, B, C, D, right? So this is A and B and C and D, right? So this is holding this, the resource A, and this is should be not. Yeah, it should be A, B, C, D. Okay. So in such a case, what happens is, so process P2 is holding B, and P3 is holding C, and P4 is holding D. Okay. So now your process 4, if it wants A, then how, until it releases that, it cannot make use of that particular resource. So similarly here, see now A is with P1, but P1 is interested in the other resource, but it is with the P2, and P2 is interested in resource C, but that is holding by P3, and P3 is interested in the resource D, and it is with P4, and P4 interested in the resource A, is that is with the P1. Okay, so this is simple diagram showing how the deadlock can occur and how you can avoid the deadlock situations. Okay. So possibility of deadlock, that is mutual exclusion, no preemption, hold and wait. Okay. So there are three general approaches exist for dealing with deadlock. One can prevent deadlock by adopting a policy that eliminates one of the conditions. That is, you can mutual exclusion, no preemptions, hold and wait, circular wait. One can avoid deadlock by making the approaches appropriate dynamic choices. Okay, so dynamically allocate the resources so that how we can avoid the deadlocks. I think I have shown with an example diagram. If you intelligently show your set of sequence of instructions, how the resources can be availed by the different process, then you can avoid the deadlocks. So another thing is, you detect, it's something like for any problems, you need to identify what is the problem, and try to avoid the problem, and maybe you need to have some solution for the same. Okay, so you identification, that is prevention, avoidance, and detection. Before the any problem, you can have some sort of a preventive actions, And another thing is, you could have had some avoid the problems and then finally detections. So this is a summary of deadlock detection, prevention and avoidance approaches for operating systems. So there are advantages and disadvantages of each. So I'm not going to discuss different algorithms which are used in the deadlock avoidance, etc., because I wanted to give you an insight on what is deadlock and how, the possibility of deadlock, and through various situations can we avoid the deadlock, okay, by efficiently writing the set of sequence of instructions while handling the resources. So the resource allocation policy in prevention, it is conservative, okay, and in avoidance, it is a midway between the detection and prevention. So in avoidance, you know it, what is the problem, you can have a avoidance, and finally detections. Then we have a different schemes for it. For prevention, you have a preemption, resource ordering, okay, and maybe you request all resources at once. Okay. So that is you can avoid the deadlocks. In avoidance, the different schemes, like you have manipulate to find at least one safe path. So see to that you won't get any deadlock. Some path through which there need not be, possibility of deadlocks. You try to avoid. In detection, invoke periodically to test for deadlock. Okay, detect. Okay. So what are the possibility for the deadlocks that you try to detect? Okay. So there are different, the algorithms are discussed. Anyway, let us not go into deep of it. And the advantages and disadvantages of each types are given here. So you can have a look on the same. Any clarifications or any confusion?
Ma'am.
Yeah. Hello?
No doubts, ma'am.
Yeah, next class, maybe today is my last class. I won't be able to take any more class. So I will post a quiz, another 15 minutes for this, whatever the topic I discussed. And then please go through the heap memory. I will conduct the quiz, only the quiz on that topic on Tuesday. Hello?
Okay, ma'am.
Because I need to count. I think we need to have some 20 marks for the different quiz. I don't know whether I have taken so many quizzes. So I'll see to that. If including today's, if 18 are done, then probably I'll conduct the quiz for 2 marks. Otherwise, I may have to conduct the quiz 2 more quizzes. Okay? Is it fine?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So whatever I have, maybe I won't be keeping the interrupts for the exams. Interrupts will not be there for the exams. Rest everything I have covered except the pre-autos, which I said similar, but the process with the different syntax. So that is why let us not repeat the same. Please go through the memory, that is chapter 2 from the book which I have uploaded. Okay. So for the examination point of view, if you have any clarifications, you're free to ask. You can put something in the chat box so that I can address those. Okay. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, in last class that code I have uploaded. Maybe you need to work on the different programming on various kernel objects, as well as maybe I have shown only LED and relay as in hardware. I have not shown you the stepper motor or DC motor because the concept remains the same. Okay. Only thing is you need to understand how various kernel, how you can have different scheduling. Could be a cooperative scheduling or preemptive scheduling or the round robin scheduling, which are used in the RTX, and how there is an interleaving takes place between the two or the multiple process, that is in the multi-processing environment, and to handle different resources which are used by the multiple process. What are the synchronization features are existing in the RTX, which I have already discussed theory as well as the programming, like your semaphore, mutex, the message, event register, etc. Okay. Please go through those, and also I have discussed how you can exchange the information between the multiple processes. Okay. So let us now discuss on the distributed system. Anyway, upon that, we have discussed some uniprocessor scheduling, because in a single processor, how we are able to handle the multiple process, the different types of scheduling, okay, and its advantages, disadvantages, etc. Okay. So that's all. Thank you very much.
Ma'am,
Yeah, yeah.
in the mid-semester exam, there was a code, at least in my set, to interface a sensor. In these situations, we can just write some sort of pseudocode, right? Because we don't know where the sensor is connected, what pin and all that, right?
See, for when I say LPC 1768, which means you need to forget about the peripherals, but I expect you to give a proper code on UART and other inclusions. So those things have to be there.
That is understood, ma'am. But there, for example, when we were talking about taking a reading from the sensor, I just wrote sensor dot detect or something like that, because there's like we don't know what the interface is for that sensor. Everything else is there, UART and all that is properly initialized, but just that sensor part is,
Yeah,
it's okay if we make it abstract, right?
yeah, that is fine, because for which you need to refer the data sheet, right? So which is that is what you mean, right? For example, the peripherals.
Yes, ma'am. But sensor, if
Sensor is connected via any of the port, right?
it's connected to a port, but again, nothing was mentioned in the question. That's why I'm asking this.
Mm-hmm. Suppose in when I say any of the port, you just randomly put. You need to show that there is a port need to be selected, a direction. Those things you need to have some idea. Forget about which pin is connected to what, but the syntax like selection and the direction, those things you have to give it in the main or wherever necessary.
Yes, ma'am. So then in the offline end semester, will we get the data sheet or
No,
what?
data sheet not this. That's what I mean here. You put randomly some data. Suppose pin select. Okay, pin select, pin direction. That instruction must be there whenever you are using any hardware. Fine. But the data what you are putting next to that instruction could be random.
Okay, ma'am. So just initialize the thing and then pretend it works.
Yes, yes. Mention in your comment that, okay, you are using relay on, relay off, whatever. Fine.
Yes, ma'am.
So that makes me know that, okay, you have understood the concept. That's it. Anything? Hello?
No, ma'am, that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.